Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Megan, and today I'm going to be sharing our kindergarten curriculum picks for this upcoming school year. Alright, so this is going to come with a little bit of an explanation. I think every curriculum pick should, just because we choose our curriculum, or at least I do, on each of my children. So what I have picked for my upcoming kindergartner for next year, it is completely different than anything I've ever picked for my kindergartners in the past. I have been homeschooling for 8 years now, and this will be my 5th child to start homeschooling. So I'm going to share what I have picked for her. Now, if you are new to my channel, then you probably don't know my almost 5-year-old. She will be 5 in July, and she's tiny. She looks like maybe she's 3. And it didn't even occur to me really that she's going to be in kindergarten next year until a few months back. And I was like, oh my goodness, she really is. She's going to be in kindergarten. Well, technically. So the beauty of homeschooling is that we can tailor what we choose to our kids. Now, she is fully capable academically, but she is so young socially and just very much imaginative right now, and I really want to capitalize on that and really make learning a fun and enjoyable experience for her. She does love to learn. We already are working on some things, and it's her favorite thing ever to sit down with mommy and do her fish school, as she calls it, which now we've moved into alligator school. I'll explain more about that later. And so when I chose what I'm going to do with her next year, I really was thinking about that. I really wanted to choose things that were gentle, immersive, and experiential, but would also fulfill the fact that she is academically ready to start doing some of these kindergarten things. And so I'm going to share with you what I've chosen for her. I'm really excited about it. The first thing that I chose actually took some time and some convincing. I have for months looked at gentle and classical primer, not the preschool, but the primer. The primer is meant to be used from kindergarten all the way up to even age 8. And I will put a link to all of this curriculum I'm talking about down below. But I have really been intrigued by the Gentle and Classical Press Company. And I finally decided, like today when I'm making this video, that this is for sure what I'm going to be doing with her next year. Now, one of the things that I was really struggling with on this is that I wasn't sure if I wanted to buy the PDF version, which is super affordable, or if I wanted to buy all of the pieces printed out for me so I don't have to do any prep work. But I realized when I was going through this curriculum that there were some things that I might not want to use, and there were some things that I for sure wanted to use. So I decided to go ahead and do the PDF version. And basically what this is this is going to act like kind of a spine for us. We're going to be using it as a guide. I was even more excited when I realized that it correlates and goes with, like, it's written to kind of correspond with the math that I have chosen for my daughter this year. And I chose this math, like, I don't know, last semester or something, when my friend Ashley over at Joyful Learning, when my friend Ashley actually raved about this math. And so I'll go ahead and I'll show you what we're using for math. It is Kindergarten Math with Confidence by Kate Snow, and it is put out by the Well-Trained Mind. And I have just been super impressed with this. If you would like a deeper look inside, I would not mind to do that for you guys. But the reason that I was really impressed with this math is because it is very hands-on and it's very experiential and real life applicable. And to me, that's really important, especially when you are talking about really young kiddos that are starting math. It teaches being able to subitize, which is to be able to look at numbers in real life and automatically recognize that it's 3 of something or 8 of something. That's a super important skill, especially to learn early on. And a lot of times kids will miss that. And so this program, the way it's set up, because it is like very experiential and hands-on and real life math, it creates, I believe, the ability for that to happen early on. And I've just been really impressed with this. I also really like that this is the teacher book. Okay, notice how thick that is. And this is the student book. Okay, there are very few math worksheets. The manipulatives that it has you use are all things that you may have around your house, real life things. And so it makes it more, like I said, like 5 times applicable to do a math that is like this. And so I chose this, like I said, last semester. And it came highly recommended, and I have just been really impressed going through and looking at it. I think it's going to be absolutely excellent for her, and she's already excited about it. So as I mentioned, the Gentle and Classical Primer actually uses, or it corresponds in like the morning notebook and stuff like that, it corresponds the concepts with what is introduced in Math with Confidence, which I thought was really cool, because as we're learning about it, it's going to line up with what we're doing in math. So basically what the Gentle Classical Primer will do is the parts that we are using are the parts that are like the manners section, the character, the art and music introductions, the memory work, like most of it's like memory work stuff that you do just kind of in the morning time. There are some poems, there are different nursery rhymes and fairy tales and things like that. There's like a reading list, and it will prompt you when to read those things or when to do certain poems. And so I just really wanted something fun like that to do each morning together. And then, like I said, it does come with like a morning notebook. My plan is to print all of those pages out for the morning work and to put them in page protectors so that she can just use a dry erase marker over the top. And of course, I will be sharing more about this next year when we actually put it into practice. And so if you're wanting to see more, you can ask down below, and maybe I could do a video explaining the parts of how we're going to be using the Gentle Classical Primer for next year, because we're not using it in its entirety. I'm using specific pieces. I don't have a copy of that right now though, because like I said, I bought the PDF, and the actual primer, like the teacher book guide, I'm actually having printed by the Homeschool printing company. I really like them a lot, and it's like for the really nice paper, spiral bound, it's less than 20 bucks. So just a FYI there, if you need things printed, they are amazing because it's over 140 pages and it's less than $20 to have that done. So let's get on to some other subjects and curriculum that we will be using. We talked about the math. We talked about kind of our morning work with like the manners and the character and all of those things. But for reading, so this is something that I'm actually not sure about what I'm going to choose yet. So right now we have been working through the Get Ready for the Code series. This is the last book in the series, and we will probably finish this up right before we start our actual kindergarten school year with her. So I'm not really sure where I'm going to move after that. I kind of want to wait and evaluate where she is at that point, but this is kind of leading up to, this is her like prerequisite before I choose what her actual reading program will be. I have considered a couple of different things. One thing is we may continue with this series, which would be moving into Explode the Code Level 1. And there's actually a teacher book. I used it with my oldest son when he was in kindergarten. And if you do what's actually written in the teacher's guide for Explode the Code, it can actually become almost a full reading program. So we do have sets of Bob books and stuff like that. And so I may just move her straight into Explode the Code 1 and just follow the teacher's guide and do it that way, and just really gentle, move at her pace and see kind of where she moves with it. I've also considered moving her into the Learning to Read series from Christian Light Education. That is a series that I have shared other videos about, and I can link those down below if you're interested in that as well. It is one of my favorite reading programs, but I'm just not sure yet. And that's not a decision I think I need to make just yet, because like I said, I want her to finish all of this and us kind of see where she's at, and then go from there and decide if she needs some extra remediation or if she's ready to move on into an actual reading program. So that will be something that I update once I figure that out. Okay, so let's talk about science. Okay, so I have been I've actually looked at this a few different times. This is Master Books Let's Talk About Science series. This is Adventures in the World Around Me, Level K. Now, I have loved what I have seen in here. So this, it's a 2-day-a-week schedule, and it takes you through things like the 5 senses, taking care of yourself, tools that you use in science, light and shadows, primary and secondary colors, sizes of things, exploring the world around you, water, heat, living and non-living things, plants, trees, fish, sharks, whales and dolphins, animals, reptiles, and habitats, and then the seasons and stuff. So it's just very simple. It's really cute. This is more for her, just something that is fun. She likes workbooks. It makes her feel like she's, really in school when she has this sort of thing. But it's very, very gentle, and I love that. And again, it's exploratory, just like learning the basics of the world around you and stuff. And so this is what I chose for her science. It's just 2 days a week, like I said. Another thing that I love to use in kindergarten, I first started using this with my oldest son in kindergarten, and that is the Berenstain Bears Big Book of Science and Nature. I love this, you guys. So it is so sweet. I mean, really, honestly, you could purchase this and use this, like just go through it section by section and do little fun activities or science notebooking, nature notebooking, things like that. Just really informally, like talking about it, experiencing it, exploring it in the world around you through this book. And this would be sufficient for like a kindergarten and first grade science curriculum because of the things that it covers. And if you used it more as a guide and then you just kind of expounded on it, whether you pull free things off of Pinterest or Teachers Pay Teachers or something like that, you totally could use this as a program. But I thought that this would be good to go along with anything we talk about in here, or just to read together in the mornings. I'm not really sure, but we will be using it a lot. Kindergarten to me is just, I don't want to say laid back, but it is really, because I want it to be fun, and it is really just that exploring and really starting to get into what is it like to do school. So the other thing that we will probably go through when we go back over letters, my plan is just this is the Christian Liberty Nature Reader. I love this series as well. I have used it for many years, but I have never used the book for kindergarten. And what I think is really cool is that actually the book for kindergarten uses the themes of the ABCs. So I figure that when we go back through different letter sounds and stuff like that, that we could read about the different animals or things in nature that correspond with those specific letters. So I just thought that would be something fun to read together, but also to learn about. I do want to say also, so the Gentle and Classical Primer is very literature based. And as you can tell, there is, maybe you can't tell, I don't know, but I have a ton of books that I have bought to go along with everything that we're going to be doing in kindergarten. Plus, there's going to be lots of library visits. I absolutely am a firm believer in just reading like crazy in the younger years will really all the years, but especially in the younger years, just how important that is just to get a sense of just the world around you through books. Okay, so let's talk about social studies. So for me, for kindergarten, social studies, one of the parts of that that's very important, I think, is manners and self-care, meaning like hygiene, taking care of yourself, understanding what's appropriate and not appropriate, things like that. All of that is going to be covered in the memory cards and memory work that we do through Gentle and Classical Primer. And there's little memory cards that will go along with that each week that teach a different concept about whether it be character or like life skill type things. So to me, that is part of social studies. We will also, of course, be doing a unit on community helpers. I mean, come on, isn't that a part of kindergarten? It has to be, right? The other thing that I wanted to do is kind of do a little mini unit on like different countries and cultures. And so to do that, I actually grabbed this from Thrift Books, but this is Children Just Like Me, a unique celebration of children around the world. And I just thought that this would be a really neat way for us to explore how different people around the world live. And it tells, you know, the background of where they're from, and we will find it on the map. And it tells about their transportation, where they live, what it's like to live in their country. And it literally goes all around the world. And so I think this will be something that she's really, really going to enjoy. And we can just read through together and just learn through this book. But then also, of course, we have this. This is probably how I will introduce our little mini unit on geography, is how to make an apple pie and see the world. So my plan is to actually introduce this towards the beginning of the year because, I mean, come on, apples. Isn't that August and September time of year? So, and at the end of the book, of course, it has a recipe for an apple pie. So, you know, we'll read the book, we'll make our apple pie together, and then we'll start to jump in learning about different countries and cultures through this book. And then, of course, that will complete pretty much our social studies between that and reading tons of literature and the manners and the life skills and the community helpers and some of the things that intertwine with science, like will help a lot too. And so that is what we're doing for social studies. Now for Bible, Lily really, really loves to sing and do little songs. And so I got We Sing Bible songs. I used to love the We Sing silly songs and stuff like that when I was a little kid, and I know she's going to love that. She actually has listened to the We Sing silly songs, and she does love that. So I know she's going to love this, but it's just a ton of little Bible songs, and I think we'll have a lot of fun singing through that. But then also, again, the Gentle and Classical Primer has like different memory verses and things like that embedded in it. It also has where you read through the ology. And so I purchased that as well. We're actually going to be using that as a whole family. And then I am going to start taking her through the Truth and Grace Memory Book #1. I looked for it before this video, but I couldn't find it. But we do have it. We went through it a couple of years with the other kids. And so I'm going to start her in that. But it's just a very, very simple introduction to catechism, very simplified. And so I'm going to be working with her on that instead of using the catechism that they use in the Gentle and Classical Primer. So that is something we're going to be doing that's different, is using the Truth and Grace memory book instead. The other thing is, as far as Bible goes, is she will be tagging along and listening to me doing Bible with the older kids as well. And so, yeah, that's what we're going to be doing for Bible. And so I think that covers everything. As I mentioned, things like art and music are covered in the Gentle and Classical Primer as well. And that will all be done during the morning time, like I said. And I will share more about that as I get everything kind of squared away and things. So be looking for a video, I guess, next year showing what a day of kindergarten looks like for us. And if you have any questions or want to see anything that we are using or hear more about any of the choices that I've made for our kindergarten year, let me know down in the comments and I will be happy to share. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I hope that you found it helpful, and I'll see you guys on future videos. Thanks so much, guys, and have a blessed day.